This morning, we're checking back in on Sound Transit's new 2-line that recently connected Bellevue in Seattle with a light rail via the I-90 floating bridge. The world's first project took a lot of planning from Sound Transit, and now that it's open, we asked their lead engineer to join us for a little behind-the-scenes look at this massive project. Sound Transit's Brian Holloway joins me now. Thank you for being here, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, we know this has been a feat that's been a long time coming. What's the process been like to get to the moment of, what was that, maybe 2 weeks ago, getting the light rail moving across Lake Washington?
Yeah, well, actually, it's been 50 years in the making. The idea is getting transit across Lake Washington was back from the 1960s, actually.
Wow.
And when the floating bridge was built in I-90, they actually designed it for light rail for the future. So our forefathers and people working on this have been working on it for a long time. And then what we had to really do was then really dig into figuring out how we're going to get the train across the bridge. And now this is the first time we have a light rail crossing a floating bridge in the world. So
right.
It's a world first.
Innovative, and we're seeing, some of the graphics here. So for people at home, remind them about the 2-line, because I think some people, last year we had, Redmond to Bellevue, and now finally you could really go from Redmond all the way up to, is it Linwood?
Well, yeah, now we have this connection that connects Bellevue, Mercer Island, City of Seattle to the rest of our network. So now we really have over 50 miles of transit, light rail, for people to get all around the region. So this is really a monumental moment of connecting the region and getting these communities closer together than they've ever been before.
And I know just from speaking to people, at one point it felt like, okay, when is it ever going to happen? Because there have been, a few delays along the way in the past, 2 or 3 years. How do you feel now that it's finally open and people can take the trains and enjoy the beautiful views across Lake Washington?
Well, I was just blown away on opening day. I spent the Saturday there talking to our passengers and talking about the engineering challenges at Judkins Park there. And I was just blown away about the people going and waiting in line for over an hour to ride the train, experiencing the views, and just really enjoying themselves. It's really an experience more than a commute in some ways.
Exactly. I know when I was seeing the lines, I'm like, wait, what, are these people waiting to get on the light rail? And that just shows just how important it's been and how much this region, really thrives on having, innovations and new technologies, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really amazing, the passion and support the community has shared with Sound Transit. Yeah.
For people at home, maybe they haven't taken the 2-line yet, what's something they should know about it that they probably don't know?
A lot of engineering went behind it, right? So it's a floating bridge, so it's always moving. It's getting longer and shorter with temperature. It's moving with the wind and waves. And it's also twisting as well with the traffic and the loading. So we had to create a way to get track across that. Track likes to be fixed to the ground or on a fixed bridge. So we were able to build a track bridge that we tested. It built just for this, to go across those expansion joints and spread out that load so they could stay within those track tolerances. We also had to come up with challenges to reduce the weight on the bridge, as well as protect it from electrical current from the train, from rusting or corroding the bridge. So we had to create really innovative ways that never been developed before to produce this and create the experience that is today.
Right, and that's pretty amazing. I got to talk to Dow Constantine about it, and he was just saying how this would be the hardest step for any of the light rail stations. And now that you all have done this, he was like, everything else will be a breeze, technically.
Yeah, I think, there's nothing like this. There's no other, we've talked to other transit agencies talk to us about this because it is completely unique. And I don't know if people appreciate that, but it's really, really cool. Yeah.
I think people do and are really excited to learn more about it. And one other thing that I thought was pretty interesting is that when we get to, that portion of the year where the waves and everything seems to be coming across I-90, you all will have to kind of change just the scheduling patterns for people.
Oh yeah, we actually had to also invent a way to actually try to monitor that in real time, to give our control center a warning when we would have to reduce a train service, because waves do come and we have some high winds sometimes, and we have a system that's in place that will reduce the trains if the wind speeds and waves get high enough. But it shouldn't happen too often. It's very rare that it happens because we're only coming from winds from the north is causing that problem, which is not very common here in Seattle.
So Brian, you talked about this complex design. You know, it's the first time that a train has gone across a floating bridge. Was there ever a moment in the process when y'all were like, dang, wait, I don't know if this is going to happen?
Well, there's been good days and bad days, of course, but honestly, no, we had a really good process, and we actually had a really good team dynamic as well of people challenging each other. Since it was the first time in the world, we wanted to have that ability to challenge and make sure that we're doing it right. And we had a system in place of creating models and prototypes and testing at universities and making sure things were done in design before we even went to construction. And even in construction, we had the contractor build a mock-up of these items before we even built it on the bridge. And then we put it all together, and then we spent months of actual systems testing and stress testing as well before we even made the announcement in January that we would have the March opening. So by the time January rolled around, we were very confident that this was going to perform like we designed it.
Well, we are happy to have it.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, we know plans to go to Tacoma, Ballard, West Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
Everett. What part of the vision for the light rail are you most excited about?
Well, what really gets me excited is the fact that people just get on it. I really like to just ride the light rail myself. I use it every day myself. And I just really like to see how people use it. Like they're studying, going to UW, or they're going to go to the airport. And I just really like to see that how the creative way people use it, whether or not they're taking their bike to go to Marymore or take the dog to a dog park or whatever. I just really, that really just drives me every day to do my job.
Well, thank you for the amazing job that you do and all of the work that you all are doing at Sound Transit, and for joining us today on New Day.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.